Lately, I've been much more connected with my spirituality. For a while now, in the back of my mind, I want to spread the word and I want to help this type of message get on new people's radar. People who might not be aware of spiritual practices for your mental health. So I've been thinking about making Instagram videos and YouTube videos and stuff like that. And I still do think I want to do that. Not sure what about exactly. But the other day, I realized that anything that I could say about spirituality is not my truth. There's a universal truth that people have been trying to communicate and get the masses to realize ever since the dawn of fucking time. It's not hidden. It's right out there in all the religious texts, even outside of religion. There are scientists now who are making new discoveries that are turning out to support religious ideals that have been held for thousands of years. And I think it was a mistake for us to separate religion and science, or spirituality and science. These days, they just keep seeming to draw closer and closer together. And so I realized that, yeah, anything I say is nothing new. Go read the Bible, read the Torah, go read the fucking Quran. They're all saying the same thing. The truth is as old as the dawn of fucking time itself. I think you just have to want to know the truth. You have to be seeking truth. And one thing I will say, which is also not my idea, is that so many people feel dissatisfaction in their lives and they're waiting on the external environment to change so that they feel better. But the reality is that the environment that you surround yourself is a product of your thoughts. It's a product of your state of being. It's a product of your state of mind. If you want your life to change, if you want your environment to change, it starts from within. It starts with your state of mind. Your state of mind, your inner consciousness, and the world that you see around you is one and the same. They're more like each other than you might think. So to attract a possibility from the infinite amount of possibilities that there are of who you could be, you have to imagine it first. You have to know what you want. You have to know who you want to be. So define that. Go and define that. Who do you want to be? I've been also working on defining what I want and who I want to be. And I find that I think I want something. For example, like I wanted to land a new job. And I was pretty intent on the idea of this is what I want to get this new job. But as I started to think about what I want and feeling myself in this job and what it would feel like, that opened up the doorway, or opened up more space for me to think further about who I want to be and what I want, which had nothing to do with the job, by the way. My point is that a lot of us are so stuck in this linear sense of time where it's like, for example, if you want to start a business, you got to start networking first. Or if you want to start a business, you got to take a course in business first. So then you might think, oh, I want to take this course in business. But you really have to start imagining what you want with the end. Imagine the end result. Don't imagine the process. Imagine what you want to be in its final form. That's what you should be attracting. That's what you should be imagining. And I will just say that not only is this deeply a spiritual practice that has some philosophical backing throughout texts over thousands since the dawn of time, like I said, but also, like I said, there's science that's coming out that backs this type of shit. And it honestly is such a shame that it took us so long to return to this truth. We needed the science. And how amazing too that there is science. We can look at concrete proof, mathematical proof that shows us that all of these spiritual truths are embedded into not the spiritual part of the universe, but the logical part of the universe. It's embedded into the mathematical fabric of reality. If you want to know more about this, you've got to start reading, first of all. Read some books. That's something that I'll always advocate for. If you're not reading, you're falling behind. Like, that's the thing. Most people don't read, which is fucking insane, because what a gift. What a gift it is to be able to read and to expand your knowledge. That's the one thing that they withheld from us, is literacy and education when we were slaves building this country, and that kept us enslaved, that kept us in chains. The thing that started to liberate us as a people from our literal slavery was education, and that was reading, and that was organizing around that. So start fucking reading. Goddamn. I don't know if you guys have read 1984 or what's that other one? Oh, Fahrenheit 451. But these books, even though they're fiction, they're not a fiction. The powers that be, the elite, they withhold information from us. Yeah, that's not a secret. That's not fucking, a surprise. It is really a method of control. And it's really up to us. You might not want it. And if you don't want it, then you must be content with being a puppet. But if you want control over your life, if you want liberation, if you want freedom, you're gonna want to know how to read, and you're gonna wanna exercise that skill and improve it. So let's start reading. Let's start reading the right books. Let's start reading novels that make us think. Let's start reading how-to books, personal development, self-help, spirituality. Dr. Joe Dispenza is a great resource into understanding how the science, quantum physics, the quantum model is trumping the old paradigm of the early 21st century and the 20th century, and how he's connecting spirituality to science. Neville Goddard was saying the exact same thing as Joe Dispenza 100 years earlier. He didn't have any of the science, but the message remains the same, and it's because the truth is as old as fucking the dawn of time. If you want resources, I guess you just have to look. Those are the two main people and spiritual teachers who have connected me back with my spirituality and excited my heart, inspired me to become the best version of myself and to manifest my true desires. And I also think it's important to turn somewhat of a blind eye to the media that makes us feel these negative emotions like hate and fear, not to be consumed by those things, and also to accept other people's viewpoints. It's also a very important thing, accepting other people's religions and thinking outside of the box. Open your heart, open your mind. If you don't want to do those things, like I said, that's fine. If you're content with being controlled, if you're content with being a victim to your surroundings, if you're waiting for your environment to change, for you to change, your environment is not gonna change. Your environment is a reflection of what you have called into this world. If you want your environment to change, or if you want to change, it starts from within. I will say, if you are unfortunately caught up in the ego, that is something that you will need to address before you can start manifesting your dream life. The ego will always get in the way of what you want, and if you can't learn to tame it, it will definitely run your life. This is also a truth as old as time, but if you want to learn how to tame or quiet your mind, quiet the ego, you must start meditating. I don't know of any other way to tame the ego. The ego is something that never goes away. It's your sense of identity. It's everything that you identify with. It's every thought that goes through your mind. And some thoughts are good and some thoughts are bad, but there's an underlying presence, there's an underlying spirit of stillness that is sometimes in battle with the ego. It's what the ego isn't. And you must become aware of this first. I'd say I can only speak from my own experience, but Eckhart Tolle is a great teacher about the ego. I think he does start most people from square one, whereas with Joe Dispenza, it might be more palatable if you have somewhat of a spiritual background, just because his ideas will be easier to interpret, to accept. So if you want to start learning how to quiet your mind and identify from your identity, from the way you're being perceived, from your trauma, from your fucking emotions, from suffering, start reading. Look it up. Look up the books. They're out there. And the only reason I say this is because I want to spread this knowledge. I want to make my own videos. But the truth is out there. There's no reason for me to reiterate what's already been said millions of times throughout thousands of years. So yeah, start reading, start working on yourself. Your happiness comes from within, it doesn't come from without. You know, make some good connections, question your relationships. Yeah, love as hard as you can, and open your heart, and open your mind. And you know what, I don't want to get too much into conspiracy because I guess sometimes I see it as a bypass. If you can always pick someone else to blame rather than taking your fate into your own hands. But I will say that this world, when you look around, don't expect to see truth. Don't expect to see answers. This world is highly corrupt. There is always someone trying to sell you something to make you happy when, even though according to the truth of the fucking universe, happiness comes from within. It doesn't come from without. But nothing around us, nothing in this world of ours encourages that message, supports that message. And in fact, they will do the opposite. They'll make you feel like shit. They'll make you feel inadequate. And this is all so that they can gain your attention or your money. And it works. The elite, as well as white supremacy, all throughout the world. Colonization fucked us in the ass. And ever since then, I think we have been so lost as a people. I mean, we all hear about these indigenous tribes who have these spiritual practices that us in the West, we definitely write off as hooey or something like this. But the truth is that the colonization of the world has led us so far from our evolved state. We have been devolving. We're ruining the earth. And everything and everyone, virtually everyone, supports this. No one questions this. That's what I'm here to do. I'm here to tell you that this world is not right. This world is completely corrupt. No one, but the mainstream, the majority of society is not truth knowing. They're not leading with love. And that also might sound like hooey. I don't know what you think is possible, but that's just another reason why we can't look outside of us to define who we are. We're all lost. Don't watch the news. Don't watch the commercials. It's literally fucking dystopian. It's completely dystopian. It is genuinely like these novels. 1984. If you are a truth seeker, like how I am, you might feel alone, like how I do. And you might seek refuge in your closer relationships for connection, since no one else seems to understand. What you seek out is what you will find. If you're looking for better, more quality relationships, it's not impossible to find groups of people that support this type of thinking. And that's something that I'm working on now too. But definitely take a second to question whether or not your relationships encourage growth or if they encourage sameness, if they encourage complacency, if they encourage comfortability, if they encourage challenge, if they encourage discomfort, uncomfortable conversations, if they encourage loving kindness, then those might be the relationships that you might want to cultivate to become the best person, the best version of yourself. Our relationships are so integral to our well-being. We are social creatures and we do need people just to live. Some people will put you down. If you start to outgrow someone, they'll get envious and they'll try and pull you down to their wavelength. Just be aware of the signs. Really just ponder the question, does this person encourage growth? If you were to have a good success, would they be happy for you or would they be jealous? I think that's a good question to ask. And on that note, have a great day.